very pleased and very happy now to welcome Ronnie Kassrils to our meeting. Veteran anti-apartheid fighter, a commander of the ANC's military wing, and then a government minister under Nelson Mandela. Has got a Jewish background, like so many of our speakers today, and he's been outspoken in his opposition to what the Israeli government's doing to the Palestinians. One of the reasons, no doubt, why last year he was, for example, uninvited from Vienna from an event in the Volkskunde Museum, and has also been brushed with the same brush that we have all been targeted with. So thank you very much for joining us, Ronnie. We're very honored to have you with us. You're live now. You need to unmute yourself still, comrade. You're still muted, I'm afraid. Can you still muted?
Okay, how's that?
Excellent, perfect.
Getting it all in place.
We got you.
Okay. Well, thanks for such an uplifting introduction. I mean, the whole meeting and the previous speakers, including the last one, have been so uplifting. And that's what we need to remind ourselves that, to use a hackneyed phrase, the force is with us. Forgive me for starting on a personal note, but the witch hunt you face in Britain and events I've been invited to address on Palestine in Europe and North America, which were banned, you've referred to Vienna, I think Ronnie Barkham and so many others have suffered such fates. But this takes me back 60 years ago to darkening days in apartheid South Africa. I was very young and had joined the movement. People were banned, so I was pushed to the fore to exercise my ability to speak. But very soon I was banned from public speaking, just months before full repression descended. We refused to submit, as is well known. We fought back like so many others through history, and through a united people struggle, reinforced by international solidarity, we toppled apartheid. So we empathize with British comrades facing this witch hunt. What is astonishing is that it is in the Labour Party, a one-time supporter of the anti-apartheid movement, that you're facing this intolerance. No doubt even the likes of Harold Wilson and Barbara Castle will be spinning in their graves. As the British Labour movement well knows, repressing freedom of speech in South Africa paved the way for wide-scale intimidation, brainwashing, outlawing opposition, and emergence of that terrorist state. The pattern of repression elsewhere. Apartheid use of anti-communism as a blanket device, as with Joe McCarthy's witch hunting, is mirrored in manipulating anti-Semitism as a shield to protect Israel and shut us all up. It's an umbrella formula to delegitimize the Palestinian cause and, of course, the boycott, divestment and sanctions campaign. Upholding Palestinian rights has been reflected in so many United Nations resolutions, statements by Mandela, as well as Archbishop Tutu, and so many South Africans who have seen in Palestinian suffering far worse than our people experienced under apartheid. Apartheid alleged that the ANC struggle was about sweeping whites into the sea, which echoes the claim that giving in on Palestinian rights means extinction of Jewish people. Those on the left who link socialism and Palestinian solidarity articulate the very same message that we did in South Africa. The objective there was to change a system, not destroy a people. And as has been pointed out by everybody, criticizing Zionism, an exclusivist ethnic-based political doctrine, as Sami and others have said, is not anti-Semitic. It's the valid criticism of a reactionary political theory. We criticize Zionism, not the Jewish religion. We criticize Israel, not the Jewish people. The charges of anti-Semitism against Israel's critics are terms of Machiavellian elasticity being stretched by charlatans to stifle opposition. It's the new taboo, the untouchable holy cow peddled in Western countries that hypocritically preach freedom of expression and democracy to the rest of the world. Those, and so many Jews, unfortunately, who fall prey, who are deceived by cynical deception, must take note of the lesson of the boy who cried wolf. When the real monster of anti-Semitism strikes, the most steadfast defenders of the victims have been on the left, as Tony pointed out. Remember Cable Street, and so much more. False allegations of anti-Semitism weaken the fight against the real demon. This is exactly the pitfall of the IHRA, the International Remembrance Association of the Holocaust, their treatise conflating criticism of Israel with hate speech. It is biased, totally flawed, devised by a handful of sophists seeking to be referee and player at the same time. In 1948, Menachem Begin visited New York to raise funds for his party, a party which later became Sharon and Netanyahu's Likud. No less than Einstein and Hannah Arendt labeled him a fascist. That same year, after cold-blooded massacres of Palestinians, an Israeli cabinet minister, Aharon Sisling by name, declared, "We have behaved like Nazis and my whole being is shaken." In terms of the Holocaust Association's guidelines, they would be labeled anti-Semitic. Corbyn's crime, that accusations of anti-Semitism within Labour Party have been exaggerated, are minuscule in comparison. Manufacturing mountains out of molehills, repeating the big lie characterizes the sophistry of medieval inquisitors, hitching Labour to the Blairite anti-socialist bandwagon. Unopposed, this witch hunt will escalate, attacking popular protest wherever humanity opposes injustice. This cannot be appeased, as comrades have been pointing out. It must be opposed and stopped, and it can be opposed by actions that are being expressed today. To use a glorious internationalist slogan, our clarion call must be, no passaran, they shall not pass. And we say to Starmer and his deputy Rayner, when they misappropriate that sacred trade union principle we've used and use in South Africa, an injury to one is an injury. Their denialism, they ignore the injury to millions of Palestinians facing the bullets and bombs of the Israeli war machine. I come to a close now by referring to the recent statement of prominent Palestinian and Arab figures with regard to the International Holocaust Association's false strictures, attests to how the issue of anti-Semitism should be formulated. They declare that anti-Semitism must be debunked and combated in all forms. No expression of hatred for Jews should be tolerated anywhere in the world, and they issue the warning that diverting the necessary struggle against anti-Semitism to delegitimize the Palestinian cause and silence defenders of Palestinian rights, comrades like you, threatens to debase the struggle and hence to discredit and weaken it. So, comrades, the left and human rights movement, including Black Lives Matter, and formations such as the ANC in South Africa and so many other liberation movements around the world, in all the continents, look to them. We should join the Palestinian and Arab voices in formulating the guidelines on free speech and in combating the scourge of anti-Semitism and all forms of racism. Finally, I say to you, in your sterling work, comrades, and you're leading us, you're being heard in countries like South Africa. Many of the comrades here are tuning in to your meeting today. Consider those of these other continents, the ones who suffered from colonialism and settlement and repression from the empires, as the Palestinians do. Consider their formulation in your upcoming conference. While conditions for Palestinians might appear bleak, our support of the international community must never waver. Their fighting spirit prevails, and comrades, it strengthens struggles worldwide, including the witch hunt you face, as your struggles stimulate and support theirs. We experience that in our struggle in South Africa. We salute the resolve of the Palestinians, and we salute you, comrades. Thank you very much for having me along with you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, comrade. That was very heartwarming and inspiring. Thank you very much for joining us. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.